What is going on, folks? Welcome back. Today we're flying the AJS-37 demonstration, and unfortunately I have a little bit of a sore throat, but the upside is that I can do the intro as the Lego Batman, because as it turns out, when I have a sore throat, I can do a pretty sick Lego Batman impersonation, or even just a regular Batman. So today, we're going to be flying the most awesome Batjet created by Batgod, so sit back, take your lobster thermidor out the fridge, and enjoy this awesome bat ride. We have thunderstorms forecast to arrive overhead the airfield within the next 30 minutes, which is great, because the Viggen starts up in 2 minutes and burns through fuel in less than 10 minutes. And of course, we're going to be demonstrating the Batplane's most awesome bat trick, which is bat reverse. So after landing and standing on the brakes with maximum bat reverse thrust, we're going to taxi the Viggen backwards onto reciprocal runway heading for a most awesome bat departure. So if this bat stuff excites you, sit back and enjoy this bat ride.
We have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect the headset. We'll see you on the left with the pin. Thanks a lot.
Yep, the thunderstorms are getting closer. For those of you that are not interested in the startup procedure or my thoughts about flying the Viggen, my force feedback stick, the Kola map, etc., which is what I'm about to go over as we do the startup procedure and taxi out to the runway, feel free to skip ahead to the actual takeoff. I'll leave it somewhere in the description so that you could just skip straight ahead to the takeoff. You couldn't be bothered watching the startup of the Batplane. Now, by the way, I have to say, the AJS-37 Viggen has gotta be the most perfect Batplane there is. You couldn't have picked a more Batman-looking machine that flies, I think. Especially if you painted this thing black and put it straight into one of those movies. I think it would just fit perfectly. Unlike the YAS-39 Gripen, which is right next to us here on the left-hand side, it just wouldn't work. So as we start up the Viggen here, the Viggen is extremely easy to start up and go. It literally takes no more than a couple of minutes. You don't need to align the INSs, IRSs, and all that stuff. Very easy jet to get going, and I was hoping to be flying this as we zero out the altimeter, the standby altimeter there. I was hoping to be flying this thing a bunch after the Kola map came out, but unfortunately the Kola map was a huge disappointment in many respects. It's pretty good for flying this demo, but even still, I think it needs to be completely retextured. Just when it came to rural and wild areas, it just wasn't that great, so I don't use it that much. Now here you see me do a systems check, and although it's probably difficult to tell in the video, my joystick also vibrates when the virtual stick vibrates too, doing the systems check, and that's because I'm using a full force feedback joystick base called FFBeast, which is absolutely phenomenal now. Now they've added a few more capabilities to it with a G-force spring and AOA spring, which I'll go into a little bit more detail after the end of the demo, but absolutely transformed flying the Viggen, because the Viggen is one of those jets that obviously doesn't have fly-by-wire. You can over-G it and you can exceed max alpha. Well, in fact, not even max alpha, but you have compressor stalls above 18 to 20 AOA. That is a very, very important parameter flying this demonstration. It can be quite frustrating if you're used to flying something like that is very carefree, such as the Hornet or the Viper, because there you could do whatever you want. You can pull and push, or you can do whatever you like. The airplane is going to tell you whether it likes it or not, and it's just going to give you the maximum that it's capable of. Flying the Viggen is very different. Flying the Viggen, it's all by feel. Obviously, we don't have G-forces, me sitting in my armchair in my bedroom, but we do have stick forces, and force feedback is incredible for that. And of course, you can tune it so that you have increases in stick forces as the G increases, and that's often a feature that is implemented into a lot of hydromechanical jets. The F4 is one of them as well. As you pull back more, you need to increase the amount of force that you need to apply to the stick, which makes it more difficult to over-G the airplane. And I think that's why a lot of these airplanes, which are, you know, maximum G limited by, let's say, 9G, but don't have a hard limit, although you can over-G them, it becomes more and more difficult just because through virtue of your feel of the stick. Now today we're flying Delta X-Ray November, It is the only AJS-37 Viggen left flying today, as far as I understand. And although there are some other Viggens flying, it's the only AJS variant, which is a mid-90s upgrade of an otherwise 70s jet. I believe only less than 100 of these AJS-37s have ever been upgraded to the AJS-37 standard. And it's been decommissioned 2005. They only appeared in the mid-90s. Which is actually kind of interesting, because for anybody who is wanting to include the Viggen in their Cold War scenarios, technically that wouldn't be correct. Although it looks the same as a 90s, 70s Viggen, this one in particular, the one that Heatblur had modeled, only appeared in the mid-90s, which means it would really be up against Russian 4th gen fighters, you know, something like MiG-29s, Su-27s. It's kind of a funny airplane because it looks and feels mostly like it's from the 70s, but with its CK-37 computer and some of its weapon systems, it sort of is kind of a bit of a mishmash between looking old but having some pretty decent, especially ground strike capability. And this airplane has a very interesting mission profile. It's basically one pass, haul ass. This is a low-level penetration ground attack, sometimes reconnaissance, in some cases of course also a fighter, pure fighter interceptor, but this was really always intended as a strike aircraft. And although its mission profile is super interesting, unfortunately the only natural habitat for it is the Kola map. But unfortunately in its current state the Kola map is not usable for any missions. It's pretty good with some cities, towns, and that kind of stuff. They've done a really good job, but when it comes to areas of forest, trees, vegetation, the texturing is just way off. It's just weird, bright colors, very motley, looks absolutely nothing like reality. In my opinion, well and truly behind something like Bartek's Caucasus Redone 2022. And in fact, I have asked Bartek, and he did say that he did have some plans for the Kola map as well, although currently Orbx have said that they're going to update even the summer textures on it soon. So let's wait and see what happens there. So we're just lining up now. We're just about ready to start the demo. You'll see the rain shower at the far end of the runway there. That's going to start moving in pretty soon. And we need to try and do our demo as quickly as possible before the thunderstorms arrive. So long as the airshow boss is happy, we'll keep going with the demo. So we'll do a flight controls wipeout, and I'll hand it off to Command T in the cockpit. Alright, quick flight controls check is done. We're on the brakes. Let's go up to max dry. Burner, here we go, off the brakes. Looking to do a low transition, which is quite difficult in the Viggen. Just with the way it lifts off the ground. Pulling up now. Gears up the ground, gears traveling, gears coming up. Getting nice and low to the runway. As the flaps go up on the canards, we're going to lose a little bit of lift, which is what just happened there, so we get a little bit of a sink. And here we go, started the demo. Climbing left turn. Got to be quite careful in the Viggen, of course, because you can over-G the airplane. You've got the G meter just to the right of the HUD. And currently we're at 4G. Want to make sure we do not exceed 9G, of course. And the speed is going to drop below 400 kph here as we transition to sort of high alpha. Want to keep it below 18 AOA if possible to avoid compressor stalls. And that instrument is located just to the left of the HUD, which is a pretty important one, flying the Viggen. Dropping in on top of the crowd now to start our first maneuver. So this is going to be a 3/4 roll. And pulling back around, trying to keep the speed above 600 kph if we can. We're about 650 at the moment. We're just going to extend on the downwind leg here slightly and then pull in perpendicular towards show center for a climbing vertical line. Ooh, just lightning's right here. Okay, if the airshow boss doesn't call it off, we're going to keep going. Right, 310 degrees, here we go. Pulling up now. Looking at our attitude indicator, there's the black dot going into the vertical. We'll do a 1/4 roll. And coming back around. Do a nice loop. Now, we do have the wind blowing us off to the left, by the way, upper levels here, which is what is always quite interesting about air shows, because something that airshow pilots, of course, no matter what they fly, have to take into account. And here we go. starting a transition. My favorite sort of transition, which is kind of a loaded roll, ends up in inverted, and then a small quarter roll to the left as we come in for the first full pass, which is going to be a 4-point roll. The Viggen does roll very crisply and sharply, so it really speaks to me in that respect. Got lightning strikes all around. Still pretty clear skies just overhead the field, so we're going to keep going for now. Alright, rolling out, trimming it out a little bit, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Alright, pulling up. We're going to end up on the wrong side of the crowd line here. I'm going to do this on purpose, so don't worry about that. We're just going to go into the vertical, waiting for 2,000 meters. Here it comes. A little bit of rain now coming in. So the rain is just getting pushed into the airfield, over the airfield rather. Going to end up on the wrong side of the crowd line, but don't worry, it does not extend over the entire length of the runway. It's confined to that area on the apron, and the reason I want to do this is because we can do a spiral descent around the crowd onto the correct side now, the dead side. So here we go. Alright, hard turn to the right, looking at the G there, just over a G, and then transitioning this into a high alpha roll for the transition. This is a 45 offset, inverted, keeping that inverted, 3/4 roll to bring us in for the next pass, which is going to be the slow roll. And this is something that the Viggen does do at air shows. It does it exceptionally well. It's got incredible rudder authority, so you can do knife edge and you can do slow rolls, and it is an absolute pleasure to do that. Now, flying with a force feedback stick today makes life a hell of a lot easier to feel the airplane, see what's going on. We're just passing 0.8 Mach. I'm gonna start slowing it down a little bit. And here we go, slow roll, left rudder, just a little bit of left rudder to help it along. And now make sure the nose doesn't drop with a little bit of right rudder. And here we go, and 90 degrees. Pulling hard now, up to 9G. Looking for the lake as a reference point. Pulling up now again. And this is going to be a half loop, the roll over the top. To get ourselves closer to the runway, full roll, and dropping in again. That rainbow, that looks absolutely incredible. And rolling out for the knife edge pass. Here we go. Keeping it nice and level there. Absolutely brilliant. The Viggen is absolutely incredible for that. And pulling back around now. Now with my force feedback stick, I actually do have incredible feel here to not over-G the airplane or compressor stall the airplane. We're up to 9G again, really maxing it out as much as possible, transitioning into a higher alpha regime now, dropping in on top of the crowd again, and this is going to be an inverted pass, setting ourselves up for the next maneuver. Right, here we go, inverted, 1, keeping it inverted. Full roll if we can, and invert it again. There we go, and roll out. And let's do a half Cuban. Pulling up just about 8G now. Rain's really coming in this side of the airfield. Look at these raindrops, this is absolutely phenomenal. Alright, half Cuban, throttle down a little bit. Roll out. Never really put the HUD up, but we can put it up now since I've remembered. Not really a big deal though. Alright, and gonna do a loaded roll now. Speed is less than 600 kph, dropping the gear. And now the HOTAS actually needs to come down. We'll put the airplane into landing mode, and this is going to be the first landing, not the last landing, but the first landing with thrust reverser. So we're going to arm the thrust reverser, and we're going to try and roll out. We're going to touch down a little bit further than the touchdown zone. That is purely because the airplane does slow down so quickly. We want to do it in front of the show center, in front of the crowd. And after that, we'll do the typical Viggen party trick, which is going to be a reverse back into the reciprocal heading, and a takeoff on the reciprocal heading. So here we go. Going to start slowing it down. We've got a flight path vector that's extremely clever here with the Viggen, with the tail. Once the tail touches the fuselage, you know you're on speed. Like I said before, a little bit of wind here just blowing us off. So here we go. It's just touching it there. We got our 2.5-degree glide right there, just beyond the touchdown zone. Keeping it coming down a little fast now. Touchdown, nose gear comes down, and we're gonna go on the power now. Start to slow it down, and we're gonna just come to the side of the runway so that we can now reverse. I'm gonna try and reverse onto the center line if possible. Very gently. There we go. Just about made that center line. Gonna stop it there. Close the thrust reverser. Alright, let's quickly set it up for takeoff once again. So we're gonna go trim, we're gonna go nav, and we're gonna go LS, and we're gonna hit the reference button. Alright, I think we are good to go. On the thrust. Burner. Off the brakes. Here we go. This is going to be a hard right turn after liftoff. Gears coming up. Rolling out. Fuel warning. Get rid of that. At least I believe it's a fuel warning. Alright, pulling up, and now for the last pass. This is going to be the high-speed pass. I'm going to try and keep the speed up to around Mach 0.97 or 98. As the rain shower is just moving in on the north side of the field. Apologies, on the south side of the field, I wanted to say. We're going to curve round the crowd. We're going to be low level on this one. Speed is 0.93. Just going to throttle out of burner for a second, and we're going to go into burner as we come in. And here we go. Into burner. 0.934567. Rolling out. Pulling up now. Got it up to 0.97 Mach. And we're going to go past the vertical to end up on the other side of the runway. So roll up to 3,500 meters. Disappear into the clouds for the crowd, and now coming in on the other side of the runway. And we're going to do a spiral descent. As the speed drops below 600 kph, the gear is going to come out. Throttle up a little bit. Landing mode. Gears coming down. Love these raindrops. That's so cool. That is just incredible. Alright. Now try and judge it for a short approach. The Viggen can be quite draggy. Once you're behind the drag curve, you are really struggling for power. So keep it on the higher end of the speed scale. Is always better when you're coming around corners. It is pretty easy to slow down. Oh, the lightning's moving closer and closer now. We'll activate the thrust reverser for this one. A little bit fast now. A little bit fast. There we go, on speed. We're on the brakes. And thrust reverser. Very good. Cancel the reverse. Alright, now it's beginning to rain very heavily. Just as we finish, there's a shower coming in right over the field. Alright, let's turn around, taxi back. So look at these raindrops. This is absolutely phenomenal. I do love it. I do love how ED's done this now. This is absolutely amazing. The only thing we need now is wet runways. Wet runways and taxiways, that would be amazing. But look, how cool is this? This is amazing. I love this. Right, we better not miss the taxiway, because it's pretty difficult to see, I have to say. Right, here it comes. Here comes the line. Of course, there's no windshield wiper. I always do wonder what it's like flying fighter jets without windshield wipers. I mean, I guess once you're going, it's easy, but just taxiing around, I mean, I assume this is kind of the way it is, which is pretty unthinkable, you know, to me, flying airliners at work. If the wiper ain't working, well, I ain't going, because you just can't see nothing. Right, we'll just turn the taxi lights to, well, the lights to taxi lights, rather, for blinding light. Absolutely, such heavy rain. Now, we've just landed just in time. This was the ground crew are going to get soaked. The crowd's still out there, though. The crowd is a hardcore airshow crowd, which is awesome. C-17 there. Yeah, guys, gotta get over how cool this is. This is just so immersive. I am just loving this. This is such heavy rain. It actually looks like there's like heavy rain hitting the ground, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of has that feel. I don't think that's what's actually happening here, but it just feels like there's heavy rain hitting the ground everywhere. Just, oh man, it's awesome. We just need puddles. We just need puddles. Right, let's just taxi in to our spot here carefully. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, because I think honestly, in terms of atmosphere or atmospherics, whatever you want to call it, this has got to be the coolest one, right? Out of all the airshow displays I've done in DCS, this is definitely got to be the most spectacular in terms of weather conditions. So give it a thumbs up if you appreciate the heavy rain. And for any Patreon supporters, of course, the mission file is going to be available for you. Feel free to download it and flag yourself. So we're just going to point into this end here so the ground crew can pull us in. And the thunder and lightning getting closer. Okay, we're on the brakes, and I guess we can set the parking brake. Okay, let's start working right to left. So transponder can come off. Oxygen, don't need that. That's fine. Okay, kill the generator. Brute force power down here. We'll open up the canopy. Shut down the engine. And we can disarm the ejection seat. And we can cancel the warnings. My god, this is going to be wet. And like I say, any Patreon supporters, feel free to fly the mission yourself. I'll leave it for you in the Google Drive, as always, that you have access to. And let me know what other demo you would like to see, and if you think that the Viggen demo could be improved, because I actually absolutely love flying this thing. It's so cool, especially with force feedback stick. It really just absolutely transforms the experience. And now with FFBeast, we have the options of adding a G-force spring. So in other words, when the G-forces increase, the stick forces increase, and that depends on the jet, of course. But it gives you extra feel so that you don't over-G the airplane. Such as, for example, the F-15 or the F-5 or whatever it is you might be flying that could be over-G'd. And also we have AOA springs, so such as the F-18 now, you know, when you pull back at super high angles of attack in the real aircraft, the stick forces become greater, so the pilot needs to pull back harder and harder as the AOA increases. And we can simulate that now with force feedback, or specifically FFBeast. That's the joystick that I'm using, or the joystick base that I'm using. So if you would like to check it out, just head over to the link in the description below and check out FFBeast. I think there's a pretty long waiting list now to get one, unfortunately. So you know, you might have to wait for a while, but oh my god, it's amazing. Holy crap. I mean, flying the Viggen, oh jeez. I mean, I say it all the time, literally about every single module, every single airplane, every single helicopter there is in DCS. But there's some airplanes which benefit, say, less, and then there's some airplanes which benefit a lot. The Viggen's definitely one of those that benefits a hell of a lot. I used to think the F-18 doesn't. Now I think the F-18 does, simply because, you know, we have that feature of AOA spring that increases stick forces, and you can tune that yourself, of course, to whatever you think should be accurate, depending on the documentation, whatever information you have out there. Either way, no matter what you have, it's still going to be a million times better than a regular spring-loaded joystick, such as ones that most people use. Anyway, folks, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please comment down below, and hopefully I shall catch you in the next one. Adios.